When Rabbi Yehudis is sitting there and I'm standing here, it's like in this some enchanted evening, right? And then on the other side of the room, and so on and so forth as the song goes. So I wanted to stand much closer to you, Rabbi Yehudis. But then I said to myself, tonight I should be talking to them, not to you. I want to talk with you, we can talk. One of the reasons why I am here is because I bring with me some history. Was it in the 50s, 60s, Worcester, and all that? And I would be hearing about a Yehudis Fishman, Morah Yehudis Fishman. And this is a young woman, was versteht Chassidus. Now I want you to understand what kind of a compliment that is. There are some people who know stuff, but verstehen, that's a much deeper thing. And so I'd like to take what we heard from Rabbi Yonatan and say this is more the outer Rabbi Yehudis that was described. I'd like you to think back with me to the 50s to 60s, what it was like in America trying to say something for a deeper level of Yiddishkeit outside of New York. You got to remember the outside of New York. If you lived in Brooklyn, then you knew there was such a thing as out of town. And out of town was like Siberia, So when you start to look around what was happening in the out of town places and how Yiddishkeit had to be seeded there. And Rabbi Yehudis lived there, learned there, and was blessed in some way that it wasn't happening in New York, where people would be looking down her throat. But understand that when she takes time in davening and wants to be in the presence of the living God, that this is very real to her. And she was able to do that there. And with that experience and with what you find in the holy books, there is a connection, because the experience makes you see what the writer of those holy books meant when they said. Because without the experience, you would have only seen the chitzoniyut, the outer part of that. But when you start to daven, when you sing and nigun, when you try to go inside of yourself and see yourself in the presence of the living God and being concerned for picking up the sparks in the world and for helping other Jews to come to their tikkun and to help the world to come to the tikkun. That's the kind of stuff that goes so deep prior to the place where one is born. That goes to that place where one is heard deep in the neshama, the voice of God that says, whom shall we send and who will go for us? And that person says, I will go. And that men should do that was around before, but in the years that Rabbi Yehudis began her soul's journey, that wasn't around. So she was in some way breaking, if you will, a barrier that could be followed by other women afterwards, to be able to combine deep experiential emunah with the material learned from books. So, one Rebbe, and she'll remind me who it was asked by his son, Papa, there has to be 36 tzaddikim, and you have said on such and such a tzaddik that he is a lamed vovnik, but he is well known in the world, so How could you call him a Lamed Vavnik? Aren't the Lamed Vavnik is hidden tzaddikim? And he said, mein Kind, was Ponnen wollten mir gehad, al was weiß sich in Dreußen ist, was lebt innerwenig. He said, what kind of a face would we have if that which lives on the outside also lives on the inside? There's a much deeper inside stuff that's happening than what is known. And I think I want to talk about this a little bit more. Could you be in touch with, in your neshama, with something that you heard from Rabbi Yehudis? And even if you can't remember it, but do you remember that feeling that went inside of the gut that says, aha, this feels like the word of the living God to me, yeah? And if you can be in touch with that, then you can understand something as to why you should do what I'm about to ask you to do. There's a bracha that we make when we meet a person who is great in Torah. And I'd like this bracha to be said so by all of us. And I'd like Rabbi Yehudis to deeply, deeply enjoy the Amen to the Rabbi Shalom with that. So I'll say a word and you'll repeat, but for this one you should be standing. Rabbi Yehudis, you sit. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Chalak Mechochmato Liyireyav. I'm having trouble with that formula because you have to change some of it into the feminine and the masculine. And this is very nice because the first time that you say that I know of saying that to a woman, Asher Chalak Mechochmato Liyireyav. Amen. Amen. Now, having done this, and sit down because she's a little bit embarrassed, for years, I've carried in my heart the wish to be among the people who give you smicha. And for years, you have managed to avoid it. But now it has happened as a fact that so many people made that bracha, so you should feel yourself ordained, empowered, and blessed. Amen. Amen.